What's up, everybody? Derek here with Minute Maintenance. In this video, we're going to go over some more maintenance on your Gen 1 Raptor. We're going to be changing the rear diff fluid, and I'm going to install a new cover. This one has a drain plug, and then obviously your fill plugs. But so the next time it's time to change oil, I don't have to take the whole cover off again. So this procedure will be the same if you're keeping your stock cover. It's just going to be putting the stock one back on instead of this one. I got mine from Spicer. I'll put a link to it down below. But it's the same thing as the Ford Performance cover. It just says Spicer instead of Ford Performance, but they literally look exactly the same. I'm sure Ford just rebranded it. I think they've gone up a little bit in price since I bought this. I've had it for like a year, but so I'm not sure what they cost right now. Another super easy job, another one that can save you a buttload of money, especially if you're not buying a cover. You just need to get fluids. Check your manuals to see what fluid your truck needs. But mine's taking 75W140 gear oil, obviously. I think if you're just replacing the cover with the stock one, you just need 3 quarts. If you are doing the aftermarket cover like this one, whether it's the Ford Performance or the Spicer, it sounds like you need 3.5 quarts. So I've got 4 quarts just in case. Yeah. Oh, the other thing you're going to need is a new gasket, the lube blocker gasket. I'll put the part number, link, or whatever down below for that as well. But it's supposed to work a lot better than the gasket that comes with the cover. Since the cover is never coming off again, you could probably just do like an RTV silicone gasket. But I would look into that first if I were you. So let's get into it. One other thing to mention before we start: if you're not replacing your cover, if you're just reusing the old cover, make sure you can take the fill plug out before you start draining stuff. If you have a fill plug and a drain plug, or a fill plug on anything, you need to make sure it comes out before you start draining your fluids, because if it doesn't come out, at least you can still drive your truck. But if you drain your fluid and then try to take it out and it doesn't come out, you're stuck, because you can't drive it without fluid, obviously, and there's no other way to get the fluid in. So if you're keeping your cover, your stock cover, then make sure to pull the fill plug out before you start draining. Okay guys, obviously now we're underneath the truck. No need to jack it up, pretty easy to get to. First thing we need to do is take these little cable holders off. Kind of move that up out of the way. Then we're just going to loosen up all of our bolts. These are 13 millimeter. And I'm just going to loosen them all up before I pull them out all the way. Okay, once I've got them all just loosened a little bit, I'm going to get my drain pan put underneath of it, and then I'm going to take them out starting at the bottom and working my way up. If you've never done any diff fluid before, get ready for some of the stinkiest fluid you will ever encounter. I'm going to be lazy and use my cordless impact. Might not be a bad idea to mark where these studs are at, just to remember. Obviously I can just go back to my video and double check, but we got 3 of them. Want them back in the same spot for that cable. Okay, all of our bolts are out. Now what I'm going to do is tap it with a rubber mallet. Since it's not budging, I'm going to very carefully pry it off. Really don't want to you don't want to scratch up, obviously, the differential itself or the cover. Can you smell it? And I'm going to let that drain for a little bit before I just pull the cover off so I don't get diff fluid everywhere. It smells so bad. Here we go, cover's off. And while that's draining, I'm going to go ahead and use a putty knife. I've also got a gasket scraper I might use, but we're going to scrape all this old gasket material away. And when you do this, you just want to be very careful not to dig into your differential. You don't want to leave any nicks or gouges or cuts or anything like that. So hold it as flat as you can, and then just apply a little bit of pressure and scrape along the edge. Just like that. So I'm going to let that drain the rest of the way and scrape this gasket off, and then we'll be ready to install it. While that finishes dripping a little bit, just wanted to talk about a couple things. Well, as you can see, I got this cleaned up best I could. There's a little bit of rust over here that I scraped away as much as I possibly could on without damaging my gasket surface. If you're using the stock cover again, this had RTV silicone on it, so that's what I would use. Just put a good bead on your cover before you throw it up there, and then put your bolts in. We'll talk about that in a minute. Everybody said that the gasket that comes with the rear diff cover is kind of junk, so that's why I would recommend either using RTV, because it should only come off again if you have an issue back here, or getting the lube blocker gasket like I did. Be careful when you put this on, because I think the holes are just slightly different from top to bottom, so it only goes on one way as far as I can tell, so just be mindful of that. Also, the cover comes with bolts. Don't use them, throw them away. Apparently they're really soft and they just snap when you try to torque them down to the recommended torque specs. There's nothing wrong with the bolts that came off of it, so clean them up a little bit and just reuse those. So now we're just gonna throw our cover back on. Again, same thing whether you're using a stock cover or the aftermarket one like I am. And to do this, I'm gonna set my gasket on the cover, making sure my holes all line up. If you use a little bit of oil in between the cover and the gasket, it'll hold it in place a little better. You can use Vaseline too if you don't want to use oil, but the oil's there. Okay, and then we're going to take one of our bolts and get it through the hole, and then we'll go ahead and put it up. Get the bolt started. And I'm going to keep my hand on the cover the whole time, or for now, until I can get at least 3 of these bolts started. That'll just help keep that gasket in place so it doesn't slide around on you. Okay, got 3 of them in. Now we'll go around and put the rest of our bolts in just finger tight, remembering where those studs went. And the whole point of changing the cover out is just to make maintenance a lot easier. If you've watched my other videos, you know I've talked about how I plan on owning this truck for a really long time. I bought it with not a lot of miles on it, so keeping up on the maintenance is extremely important for me because I want it to last a long time. So making maintenance easier is perfect. The recommended interval for your rear diff fluid is something ridiculous like 100,000 miles or 150,000 miles. That's way too many. If you watched my front diff video, I talked about I'm going to change that oil every 30,000 miles. I'm going to do the same back here and with my transfer case. I'm just going to do them all at the same time. With this cover and with the transfer case and the front diff being so easy, it won't take me much time at all. So I got all my bolts in and studs. We're going to just get them finger tight. And I didn't see a torque pattern anywhere. If you've made it this far in the video and you know of a torque pattern, if you could drop a link below, that would be amazing. But because I couldn't find one, I'm just going to do it like I would like an oil pan or a transmission pan. And I'm going to start in the middle. And I'm not going to go super tight, but I'm going to snug this one up until I feel a little bit of resistance. And then I'm going to kind of go in a crisscross pattern, working my way out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You get it. Okay, now that I got everything, all the bolts snugged down in a kind of a circular pattern, we're going to go ahead and torque everything. It gets torqued to 33 foot-pounds. We're going to kind of follow that same pattern we just did. I don't know if it matters because this is a big thick cover, and usually that, opposite circular inside out torque pattern is for like real thin things like oil pans, transmission pans, stuff like that. But I'm going to do it anyways just to be sure. And I'm probably still going to torque it in steps. So I'll get to about 20 and then I'll move on. Okay, they're all at 20. Now I'll go through, torque them down to 33. Okay, they're all torqued down to 33 foot-pounds. Now I'm just gonna go around one by one and make sure they're at 33, and then everything's good to go. It's just time to fill it up. All right, it's all torqued down. We're gonna put our cable back. Now we're ready to fill it up. So for those of you who are using the stock cover still, your fill plug is there. Right there. So you pull that out, pump your oil in just like I'm gonna show you how to do in my cover, and then put it back in, torque it down. And that's on the front side of the diff. But for everybody else who changed their cover out, first thing we need to do is torque down our drain plug because it's loose. And it gets torqued to 22 foot-pounds. It's already got sealant on it, and it's just a 3/8 inch ratchet. Okay, for us Raptor guys, we're going to use this as our fill plug. If you're watching this and you just have an F-150, or if your truck is lifted, I would say 4 or 6 inches or more, then you're going to fill to this top plug. The reason for that is as you lift the truck, your pinion angle changes. So instead of it being, tilted up just a little bit, it gets tilted up a lot more. So if you just fill to this plug, you're not going to have as much oil or even enough oil as you would if you filled to this plug. But for us, we're going to use this bottom hole, and we'll torque that one down at the same time. And there's lots of different ways to fill these. I'm going to use the way I prefer doing it, and that's just with a cheapo little pump like this. Just goes in the end, or in the oil jug. Screw it on. Stick our hose up here, and then you pump. Okay, so after pumping for a few minutes, I realized there's a way easier way to do this. There's plenty of room back here. Just take your bottle, stick it in the hole, and give her a squeeze. Depending on what oil you buy, some of them come in bags, and those work even better. You can really just squeeze it all in there real quick and be done. We want to fill it up until oil starts coming out of the hole. Okay, so there you can see the oil is running out. Let it drain for just a little bit. There we go. And then plug it up. And we'll torque them down to 22 foot-pounds. All that's left is clean everything up. There you go, guys. Another super easy job. One thing I thought of while I was laying underneath there is if your spare tire is still mounted up underneath your bed, you might need to drop that down just to give yourself some more room to take that cover off. I don't know for sure. So if you're struggling, just zip that tire down. Easy to do. But as you can tell, I used a 13mm socket, a torque wrench, a small screwdriver, and something to clean the gasket up. That's it. The oil pan. You can buy all of those things except for the torque. If you don't have a torque wrench, you can go rent one. Most auto parts stores rent them out. You basically buy it, you use it, and then when you bring it back to them, they give you all of your money back. So super cheap tools. The oil is spendy, but you could still do if you were to do it yourself, you could probably change that cover, the gasket, and still be in it for less if you were to take it to a dealer to have it done. And there's no reason you can't do it at home. You can do this outside in your driveway, on the street. I mean, I don't even have to lift the truck up. Literally just a couple simple hand tools, a drain pan, and you can do it. For oil, just make sure you get the right weight. The kind, it doesn't matter that much. A lot of people are going to tell you, run AMSOIL. Well, they're probably AMSOIL dealers. The AMSOIL stuff is nice because it comes in those bags like I was talking about. So you just toss the nozzle in the hole and squeeze, and you're filled up in no time at all. I went with Mobil 1. You could use Royal Purple, Valvoline. I mean, the brand is up to you. If you're going to be an oil elitist, then go right ahead and spend a crap load on the best oil for you. I don't care. I mean, I wouldn't get like, what is it, Super Lube or whatever from Walmart, because who knows if that's even the right weight. Who knows? Buy a decent name brand oil of your choosing. Just make sure it's the right weight. You don't have to worry about additives, at least not on the Raptor, because the rear is an E-locker. So there's no limited slip that you have to worry about. If you're doing just a regular F-150 and it does have a limited slip in the rear, make sure you have the right additives in it. Most of those name brand companies are going to have the additives already in the oil. And you can go to Ford and get oil too. I always forget about the dealerships, but nothing wrong with using the Ford oil as well. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else, guys. Like I said, super easy job. Get a couple tools, do it yourself, save a boatload. And then, you know, next time you need to do it, you'll save a boatload again. And then you can buy cooler parts or a different vehicle. I don't know what normal people save their money for. I spend all mine on my truck. So if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Just like always, guys, I don't care, good or bad, random, talk to us in the comments. We love it. Give this video a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, share it with your friends. Hope you learned something today, and thanks for watching. Have a good one, guys.